Hello everyone and welcome. This is Martin speaking. In this episode, we will discuss three very important topics. Kim-Putin Summit. Are North Korea and Russia planning the next big arms deal? Sanctions loophole alert. Is India helping Russia dodge EU sanctions? Slow poison. Are Western sanctions secretly helping Russia win? Topic number 1. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is scheduled to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Russia this month. Both leaders will be attending the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, which aims to attract international investment in Russia's Far East. Reports suggest that an arms deal between the two countries is on the table. Putin is interested in acquiring artillery shells and anti-tank missiles from North Korea, while Kim is seeking advanced technology for satellites and nuclear-powered submarines, as well as food aid for his nation. These talks come in the midst of the ongoing invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and the U.S. government believes that North Korean officials are actively working to supply weapons to the Russian military. While negotiations for this potential arms deal are progressing, the U.S. National Security Council urges North Korea to halt these negotiations and abide by its commitments to not provide or sell arms to Russia. The White House expects leader-level diplomatic engagement to take place in Russia on this matter. Recent visits by Russian officials to North Korea indicate that communication channels have been established for high-level talks. A delegation of North Korean officials, numbering around 20, visited Vladivostok in late August before heading to Moscow to prepare for Kim's visit. This visit follows Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu's trip to Pyongyang in July, which further strengthened the bond between Putin and Kim. It is worth noting that Russia has turned to North Korea as a source of military equipment due to international sanctions imposed on Russia following its invasion of Ukraine. The forthcoming meeting between Kim and Putin carries significance in terms of potential arms agreements and geopolitical dynamics in the region. It would be valuable to hear different perspectives on this matter. What are your thoughts on the meeting between Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin, and the possibility of an arms deal between North Korea and Russia? Please share your opinions in the comments section. Topic number 2. Sanctions loophole alert. Is India helping Russia dodge EU sanctions? The European Union, EU, has expressed concerns over the noticeable surge in refined petroleum products derived from Russian crude oil, which are now being introduced into the European market via India. Valdis Dombrovskis, the EU Executive Vice President and Commissioner for Trade, noted that substantial quantities of these oil products were entering the European market. During his visit to India, Dombrovskis asserted that Russia is using energy supplies and food as tools for war and manipulation to sustain its actions against Ukraine. He cited examples such as Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative and its obstruction of Ukraine's food grain exports as evidence. Sanctions were implemented by Western powers, including a cap on the price of Russian oil imposed by G7+ nations, in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February of the prior year. These sanctions aim to limit Russia's capacity to finance the war against Ukraine. Despite the imposed sanctions, India has been procuring discounted crude oil from Russia, leading to increased imports over the past year. While Dombrovskis acknowledged that China and India are among the countries that have not joined the sanctions, he highlighted that Russia is actively seeking alternative markets to compensate for the lost European market share. Dombrovskis addressed the emerging trade patterns and the rising import of refined oil products from India into the EU, urging reflection and examination due to potential use of Russian oil in these products. This trend seemingly contradicts the EU's intention to curb Russia's ability to wage war in Ukraine. Efforts to reduce Russia's financing for the war have thus far included imposing sanctions on Russian exports of oil and oil products, considering that energy supply constitutes Russia's primary revenue source. Regarding trade relations between the EU and India, Dombrovskis underscored the EU's interest in significantly expanding economic engagement with New Delhi. In 2022, the EU became India's second-largest trading partner, accounting for 10.8% of total Indian trade, with approximately 120 billion euros, PS 103 billion worth of transactions. India, in turn, ranks as the EU's 10th largest trading partner, with a contribution of 2% to the EU's total trade. While these figures indicate untapped potential for further growth, Dombrovskis stressed the importance of trust and reliability in the present geopolitical landscape. Dombrovskis emphasized that Russia's instrumentalization of energy supplies and now food as weapons of war and manipulation demonstrates the interconnection between trade, geopolitics, and friendships. Consequently, he highlighted the significance of the EU-India strategic partnership in addressing the pressing challenges of our era, especially considering that both parties are the world's largest democracies. In pursuit of further collaboration, India and the EU are currently negotiating the conclusion of 3 agreements: a free trade pact, relaunched in 2022, an investment protection agreement, and the geographical indications deal. Over the past few years, trade and economic ties between India and the EU have experienced remarkable growth. In April of the prior year, the establishment of the India-EU Trade and Technology Council, TTC, was announced. This council aims to facilitate the exchange of critical technologies across various domains, including artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, and cybersecurity. The TTC is the EU's second technology partnership, with the first established between the EU and the United States in June 2021. In light of these developments, it is crucial to encourage an open dialogue on this topic. What are your thoughts on the rise of refined petroleum products from Russian crude oil making their way through India to the European market? Is there a need for further investigation into these trade patterns? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Topic number 3. Slow poison. Are Western sanctions secretly helping Russia win? The economic landscape in Russia appears outwardly normal, despite the significant sanctions imposed in connection with the conflict in Ukraine and the departure of numerous well-known Western companies. The temporary stabilization of the Russian ruble following an emergency interest rate increase by the Kremlin's economic team may have obscured the underlying challenges facing the Russian economy. One such challenge is the delicate balancing act between financing the military without undermining the national currency or fueling politically damaging inflation that could overheat the economy. The recent increase in interest rates aimed to address this predicament, albeit temporarily. Despite these economic struggles, everyday life in Moscow presents an image of normality. On popular streets like Bolshaya Nikitskaya, outdoor seating at restaurants and bars is crowded with well-dressed residents taking advantage of the pleasant August weather. The atmosphere is alive with the sounds of DJ music, while malls continue to operate with apparent continuity, albeit with different clothing brands replacing well-known names like Zara and H&M. Even the absence of Apple Pay is compensated by banks offering mobile payment stickers with integrated chips. Some key economic indicators also paint a relatively positive picture. Unemployment remains low, and economic growth has exceeded expectations. Although inflation stands at 4% in July, it remains below the average for Russia, which helps mitigate some of the economic challenges that individuals with limited income may face. People living in Moscow, however, maintain a complex mix of feelings, ranging from unease to resignation. The reasons behind these sentiments might be multifaceted and influenced by factors such as restricted freedom of speech and the potential consequences of openly criticizing the military. Some individuals even opt to provide only their first names when expressing their opinions. This situation prompts further analysis and reflection. It is crucial to consider the perspective of the audience and garner their opinions. What are your thoughts on the complexities of the Russian economy amidst the sanctions and the consequent impact on the daily lives of its residents? Feel free to share your insights and opinions in the comments section below.